What up, fam? What's going on? What's happening with the family in the live stream? Much love to you and yours. On this edition, Monday edition of TSC Unleashed, we in the building. Big ups to the family members. Thank y'all for joining us on this edition of the show. Big ups. Give me a big shout out to the family, man. On this episode to the family members. We're going to bring in, I'm Big Q chiming in. We got my co-host on the line, Uncle Mozzy. What's happening, fam? How you doing, bro?
What's up, fam? How y'all doing? We live and in the building. Big Monday show. You know how we do it.
Yeah, Jam Back Slam Pack show, man. Big ups to the family members joining us. TSC Unleashed, for those who don't know, man. We cover a lot of the news outside this black and gold and the NFL, NBA, whatnot. But usually on our Monday show, we're going to cover the Week 10 NFL games that happen in about an expedient 25 to 30 minute time frame. So big ups to the family members. Thank y'all for joining us for TSC Unleashed as we get started. Now, of course, we're going to start off with the Colts and I guess we don't need to go with the Colts and the Texans. We can start off with the Texans, though. The Texans and the Cleveland Browns. The Browns get a win. It was a really, really dissatisfying looking win. I seen highlights of this matchup, man. Browns, it was a close game. 10-7. Browns get another win. They go 6-3, 4-1 at home. Baker Mayfield, 12 of 21, 32, and a very uneventful game as far as quarterbacks are concerned. Nick Chubb came back. He had 19 carries for 126 and a score. This guy, he's phenomenal, man. Nick Chubb averaged 6.6 yards per carry. Kareem Hunt got going, 19 carries. You talk about balance. 19 carries for Chubb for 126 in the score. 19 carries for Kareem Hunt for 104. 5.5 carry average for Kareem Hunt, 6.6 for Nick Chubb. And they rolled that to success, man, and that's what they've been doing. Using that running attack. Once again, Houston continued to go down. They've dropped to 2-7. Deshaun Watson, 20 of 30, 163, had a touchdown in the matchup. But David Johnson, once again, I mean, I don't know what to say about that guy. You know, Texans go down 10-7, 2-7. Browns are 6-3, moving forward. Washington Whataburgers against the Detroit Lions in the matchup. Detroit trying to make it eventful. Matt Stafford had a hell of a game, man. 24-33 for 276. 3 touchdowns in the matchup. Swift, 16 carries, 81 yards for the Detroit Lions. Marvin Jones went off, 8 catches, 96 yards. And the score, DeAndre Swift had 5 catches for 68 yards in the score. Marvin Hall had 2 catches for 61 in the score. Stafford lit it up. Defense didn't help him at all in this one, as Washington was able to put up decent numbers. Alex Smith, 38 of 55 for 390, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Terry McLaurin had 7 catches for 95 yards off of 9, not enough. 30-27, Detroit advances. And of course, the Jacksonville Jaguars had an opportunity to kind of help us up with the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay eked out a close one, 24-20 behind Aaron Rodgers, 24 of 34 for 325, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Aaron Jones, 13 carries for 46 yards in the matchup. Marquise Valdes-Scantling, 4 catches, 149, 1 touchdown off of 6 targets. He was fantastic in the game. Devontae Adams, 8 catches, 66 yards off of 12 targets. He also had a score in the matchup. And Jake Luton, we don't know who this guy is, but he had 18 of 35, 169, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Bright spot, James Robinson, the running back, 23 carries, 109 in the matchup, average just under 5 yards. DJ Chalk, 4 catches, 56 yards off of 5 targets. Kenyon Cole Sr. had 5 catches, 47 yards in the score for 7 targets in the matchup. Green Bay gets the win 24-30. Interesting, man. Jaguars, as they fall 1-8, this between the Jets and them for the trashing for Trevor, man, and one of those teams gonna get them. And of course, we're gonna do another block here before we get Uncle Mozzy to chime in. The Giants were able to beat the Eagles. How about that for a surprise? I thought the Eagles would be able to climb back to respectability. They lose by 10 to the Giants. 27-17 behind Daniel Jones, 21-28. He had no touchdowns, no interceptions, but he was a top rusher for the team, 9 rushes, 64 yards. The guy has some wheels on him. He had a score as well. Wayne Gallman, 18 carries, 53 yards, and 2 scores. Darius Slayton, 5 catches, 93 yards. Sterling Shepard, 6 catches, 47 yards for them. Carson Wentz, 21-37, 208, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Miles Sanders, 15 carries, 85 yards. Boy, this team really struggling. They fall to 3-5-1. The NFC least really is an awful division. 27-17 Giants take that one. Uncle Mozzy, chime in on those games. What do you think about the Giants and the Eagles matchup? Jaguars, Packers, what do you feel about them? And at the Washington Whataburgers, the Lions, and of course the Browns and the Texans in those block of games. What's your thoughts on those wins by those teams? Uncle Mozzy, you still with?
Yeah, I am. I thought you were going. I thought you had been muted out or whatever. I didn't know. I was gonna figure it out. But anyway, man, the Browns. This is a different Browns team than it was last year. I think that they're a lot more humble. I think that they're playing really good football. I think that they got all the pieces that they need. Last year was obviously, to me, it was an ego issue and a big coaching issue, and a lot of people had given them the reins or the keys to the city before they had even proven anything, and I just don't think they were ready to deal with that. This ain't that team. This is a whole different team, and hey, they put up some impressive wins, and I definitely see them, in the running or fight for a wild card spot coming out that AFC. So you got to be on the lookout for them. This does not surprise me. I don't know if it surprises anybody else, but no, this does not surprise me that they were able to pick up a win. This is a quality ball club, man. They got really good pieces, especially at the running back position. And this doesn't shock me. I think the shocker comes on the other end when you look at how deplorable the Texans have played this year, and what the expectations were versus what the reality is. I think that's the one that you got to really that sticks out to me as being the bigger upset, probably the biggest upset out of the entire NFL. When you look at it from that perspective, I think they've been the most disappointing team this year, given the talent that they had and expectations that they had coming into this season. Philadelphia and the Giants. I mean, the Giants are not a bad team. The Giants are in a good rebuilding phase. I think that they need to stay with Jones. I think that they need to kind of just, get Saquon, all the way back healthy. If we can get a solid season out of him, add a receiver or two, try to shore up that offensive line. The defense isn't that bad, especially playing in the division that they're playing in. And I mean, the Giants, if the Giants had one or two more pieces, because they're not really playing off contracts or ego either, I think that they could really run a division, because, obviously Dallas is the most talented team in the division. But I mean, after Dak went out, really before Dak went out, going back into the negotiations, I think that the team kind of took note of that. And I think that it kind of upset the whole ebb and flow of what they had going on in Dallas. They didn't need any more anything else to upset them, and they allowed that to get to them coming into the season. And this is why, although they're the most talented team, I think that the Giants, if they could actually pull something together, they got a good shot at winning this division, even with 6 or 7 wins. And that's not off the table with this team. This team could actually be there already. Had a couple of things went their way, here and there. But I'm not discounting this team. This team is far from out of it. And I think that they could actually put something together if they remain humble and stay where they are. Washington, I mean, it is what it is with them. I mean, you know what you were getting. That's a team that's in disarray. That's a team that's got a lot to figure out. I don't think they're going to figure out anytime soon, because unlike most teams where you could get rid of a coach or a player or a GM, this is an ownership issue. And for them to have having lost to the Lions, another struggling franchise, just speaks volumes. Understanding that if they get 6 or 7 wins, whether they're quality or garbage wins, they can win this division. Anybody in this division should understand their goal should be 6 or 7 wins, not 9, 10, 11, 12. They should be trying to shoot for 6, 7 wins and win this division. They had a gimme game yesterday and they blew it. I mean, they just left it on the field. But again, that starts with Daniel Snyder and ownership, and then to the rest of the team. And that's where I am with everything.
Appreciate this. Moving on to our next flock of games. Tampa Bay Buccaneers Against the Carolina Panthers, Buccaneers said they pissed off since how the Saints gave it to them. They gave it to a very helpless Carolina team. A 46-23 Tom Brady, 28 of 39, 341, had 3 touchdowns in this matchup. Ronald Jones had almost 200 yards rushing, 23 carries, 192, average 8.3 yards per rush, 1 score there. Chris Godwin, 6 catches, 92 yards. Evans, 6 catches, 77 yards in the score. Antonio Brown had 7 catches, 69 yards in the matchup as well off of 8 targets. Teddy Bridgewater, 18 of 24, 136, had 2 touchdowns, interception. He got hurt. PJ Walker came in, finished up 214 for 12 yards in the matchup. Not much on the rushing attack. DJ Moore was the top threat for them, 4 catches, 96 yards in the score. Carolina go down badly to Tampa Bay's 46-23. The next matchup pits the Las Vegas Raiders, and they raided the hell out of whatever Denver was trying to do. They beat them pretty handily, 37-12. It wasn't even close. Derek Carr, 16 of 154, 16 of 25 of 154. But they did a lot of their work on the running side of things. Josh Jacobs, 21 carries, 112. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. Devontae Booker, 16 carries for 81 yards and 2 scores. So 41 carries for 203 yards and 4 touchdowns. That happened because of the Las Vegas rushing attack. John Gruden's keeping it real on the rushing attack. Darren Waller, the fantastic tight end, had 3 catches for 37 yards in the matchup. Drew Lock, in a losing effort, 23 of 46, had 1 touchdown. Man had 4 interceptions in this matchup. Really no help at all. 37-12 Broncos twist and burn. Moving on to the next one, the Miami Dolphins. Don't blink now, kiddies, but the Miami Dolphins are relevant in the NFL once again. How about that? Tua Tagovailoa, 15 of 25, 169, 2 touchdowns in the game. Salvon Ahmed had 21 carries for 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Jakeem Grant, 4 catches, 43 yards in the score for them as well. A bunch of people you never even heard of, but it doesn't matter. Miami is kicking butt. They are 6-3, believe it or not. 29-21 over the Chargers. Justin Herbert, 20 of 32, 187, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kellen Ballage, who's a former Dolphin, had 18 carries for 68 yards as their top back. Keenan Allen, 3 catches, 39 yards, and scored for 7 targets. Wasn't enough. 21-29 Dolphins. How about the Dolphins? Moving on to the next matchup, a very good game, probably one of the best games of Sunday, was the Arizona Cardinals and Buffalo Bill matchup. It was a close game that came down to a Hail Mary in the end of Murray to DeAndre Hopkins. He came down with it to take it 32-30. Man, what an excellent game this turned out to be. Kyler Murray, 22 of 32, 245, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked 3 times. Still played well. Kenyon Drake, 16 carries, 100 yards. Kenyon Drake coming back, giving him a little balance. Hopkins had 7 catches off of 12 targets, 127, 1 score as well in the matchup for them. Josh Allen, 32 of 49 for 284, had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in the game. And he also was the top rusher for them, 7 carries for 38 yards. No real running attack by Buffalo. Cole Beasley, 11 catches, 109, 1 score. Stephon Diggs, 10 catches, 93 yards, 1 score. Wasn't enough. Very good, close game. Arizona improves to 6-3. 7-3, the Buffalo Bills fall to. Very, very, very good game. And of course, we'll do one more before Uncle Mozzy chime in. The Los Angeles Rams were able to take down the Seattle Seahawks 23-16. Wow, look what's going on there. The Rams get a nice win. Jared Goff, 27-37. 302, he had no touchdowns, no interceptions in the matchup. Cam Akers, 10 carries, 38 yards in the affair. And 3 rushing touchdowns by the Rams attack. Malcolm Brown had 1. Darrell Henderson had the other one, as they pretty much used the rushing attack. Good defense by Seattle as well. Kept Russell Wilson from doing any damage. Matter of fact, 22 of 37 for 248. He had 2 interceptions, and he was sacked 6 times in this game. They had him all flustered. He scrambled 8 times for 60 yards, and they really stifled and stuffed their rushing attack as well to the best of their ability. Tyler Lockett was a top threat. 5 catches, 66 yards, no score in the matchup. The Rams get a really nice win against Seattle, 23-16. Uncle Mozzy, feel free to comment on this block of games. Rams, Seattle, Buffalo, Arizona, Chargers, Dolphins, Broncos, Raiders, and of course the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Carolina Panthers. What say you about those block of games? Uncle Mozzy, are you there, my friend?
Yeah, once again, the auto mute. We got to figure that out. I just don't know. Normally, you talk about my computer, man, but hey, I mean, I don't know. I haven't crashed or anything today. At any rate, while I talk into my MacBook, Buccaneers and Panthers, man, we're gonna start there, man. Bucks, great bounce back win for them and Tom Brady. Although they they had a loss last week against the Saints, they came back and handled business in the division against Bridgewater and the banged up Carolina Panthers. I mean, it was a good game till I guess halftime, and then after that, like Brady just took over, and it was something totally different. Something I didn't see coming. Panthers fall again. Buccaneers one game behind the Saints, I believe now. Going into the bye, I think it's still a half a game or whatever behind, but after the bye, everything will catch up. And long as the Saints continue their winning ways, I mean, Buccaneers will stay number 2, and they're on our trail, so we got to kind of keep that in mind. Bills Cardinals, just one of those things, man. The Bills played great football for 59 and a half minutes, and then all of a sudden they just lost their mind, didn't call timeouts, didn't get the right personnel, and didn't do what they needed to do to make sure they kept everything in front of them, and there was no way for Kyler Murray to complete an off-balance pass to DeAndre down 50, 60 yards down the field for that loss. I mean, that's kind of one of those ones you wish you can get back. Almost inexcusable, considering the fact that the Bills have a really good tandem, for DBs. For them to lose in that fashion is kind of ironic. It's kind of crazy to me. You got really good DBs, but yet you lost with a long pass. Hail Mary pass is crazy. The fish and the Chargers, man, fish and boats. You already know what that was. Last year, these people finished off they won 6 straight games. They rattled off 6 straight games, and they took that momentum going into the beginning of this season. They would have started I believe Tua game 1 if he was ready, and they felt as though he understood the system and had enough time. Because remember, we had that pesky little thing called preseason and those other pesky little things called OTAs that we kind of got robbed of this season. They didn't feel comfortable throwing Tua out, but I mean, it's something about him. I mean, he's just winning. It's 2-0 for him. Don't get it twisted. Fitzmagic, had already, he's 4-3. So he was about 500, but definitely 2-0 is where they wanted to be at. I mean, that's what it is. I think that the Cardinals did a great job. I think the Fish did a great job. Broncos and Raiders, I didn't put too much emphasis on that game. Obviously, Las Vegas is a better team there, and they continue to move in silence under the radar. So hats off to them. I think because we just one of those teams. I don't think people like Gruden a whole lot. I don't think that they have really big name brand players on the Raiders team. So, their games don't televise that much because of the time zone they're in or whatever. But obviously they beat the Saints, so we have a reason to hate on them in this market. But all things considered, the Raiders have been playing really solid football all season long. But when you're in the division with Kansas City, you tend to get overlooked. But this is a really quality win for a divisional opponent that they picked up. I mean, we can't discount that. We've got to take that into consideration when we look at top tier teams around the league, especially in the AFC. And we got to give Las Vegas the crown. I mean, not the infinite crown, the same crown that we placed on the top of the head of Kansas City and maybe Baltimore, who lost yesterday, by the way. But I'm sure you'll get to that. But Las Vegas is playing really good football. Nobody can discount that. I'm sure there'll people to try, like I said, especially in this market, because they beat the Saints, but nobody can really discount the gameplay that they've had. They've been playing really lights out football, all season long. Unlike some of the other teams, aforementioned teams that, like the Jaguars and the Jets and some of the other people that I guess they expected Las Vegas to kind of be in that same boat or maybe slightly better. I guess they had them pegged at maybe 7-9, 8-8. I don't know what you had them at the beginning of the season. I definitely had Las Vegas as a rebuilding team. Yep. Going to another city. I had 7-9, 8-8 all day long at the best. But, I mean, they fooling me. So, I mean, hats off to them. Hats off to everybody that won. But the winners who were supposed to win yesterday won, and the losers lost. The only kind of game that threw me for a loop was the Bills-Cardinals game. But, I mean, that's what happens when you only play 59 and a half minutes of a 60-minute game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that, man. That game, man, the highlights that I seen on that one, man, that was a pretty lively game there, to be honest with you. And 2 young quarterbacks dueling it out, man. And I'm thinking that Josh kid's really showing, putting the league on notice. Let's move on to the next matchup that we seen. The New Orleans Saints, of course, took on the San Francisco 49ers in the Dome. They come up with the win 27-13. Drew Brees, 8 of 13, 76 yards, 1 touchdown. On the day, finished with a 72.5 before getting crushed by San Francisco 49er defensive lineman because of Ruiz missed block. Jameis Winston came in to finish up mop-up duty, 6 of 10 for 63 yards. He had a couple of sacks, and it took a couple of sacks in the matchup. Saints rushing attack, Latavius Murray led the day with them 9 carries of 57 yards. Taysom Hill had 8 for 45. Kamara had 8 for 15 and 2 scores on the day. Alvin Kamara was also the top receiver of the ball as well, 7 catches for 83 yards. 49ers stagnant offense, 24-38. 8 for Nick Mullins, 247, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Saints picked them off. They stifled and stopped the 49ers from running the ball. Brandon Ayuk had a pretty decent game for 14 targets, 7 catches, 75 yards, and 1 touchdown. Drew Brees goes down, and several other Saints should be fine, but Drew is pegged to miss some time with several really crushing injuries, and we'll cover that on today's Sports Coma as well. We'll play some interviews as well. 27-13. We get the win. We move on. Pittsburgh, next one. The only undefeated team left in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who had an opportunity to keep it going, and they did against Joe Burrow-led Cincinnati Bengals. They beat them 36-10. Big Ben, 27-46, 4 touchdowns. Big Ben comes back, no rust, no nothing. 4 touchdowns, 333 yards. James Conner was the top back for them. Deontay Johnson, 6 catches, 116 in the score. Juju Smith-Schuster, 9 catches, 77 yards in the score. Chase Claypool, 4 catches, 56 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. Big Ben did what he was supposed to do. Joey Burrow, 21-40, had a touchdown, no interceptions in the game, was sacked 4 times. They really can't help him. T. Higgins put on the show, 7 catches, 115, and a score, 6 for Tyler Ball for 41. No matchup. Pittsburgh is undefeated, 9-0, 36-10 over Cincinnati. And let's move on into the Ravens matchup against the Patriots, and that was a big surpriser as well, as Cam Newton, 13 of 17 for 1 touchdown in the matchup, as he was able to get the best of Baltimore and Lamar Jackson as they fall to 6-3, 4-5 as the Patriots over getting a good win. Damian Harris, the running back, had a pretty good game, 22 carries, 121 yards, 5.5 on the average. Jacoby Myers, the wide receiver, had 5 catches, 59 yards. Rex Burkhead, 4 catches, 35 yards, and 2 touchdowns scored by Burkhead. Lamar Jackson, 24-34, 249, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He also led the team in rushing with 55 yards. Willie Snead, 5 catches, 64 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mike Andrews, 7 catches, 61 yards. They lose 23-17. And New England gets a win. How about that? All right, Uncle Mozzy, how about you? How you feel about those before we get into the Pre-Kings and the Bears?
Well, I will definitely say this, starting with that New England game. I hope this is the corner turn that they've been waiting on up there, because this is the highest quality win they've had thus far this year. They definitely had this game circled on their calendar, I'm sure, this and the Kansas City game, which they lost consequently. But I know for a fact that this team can do something. It wasn't all Brady. Belichick did have some kind of input in it. So, this team can turn it around. The fish and the Bills are going to be kind of hard to get around, especially the hole that they've already dug for themselves. So it remains to be seen if they're going to be able to pull themselves out that hole. But hats off to the Pats for pulling this big victory off. Ravens, not so much, man. We're seeing a lot of chinks in their armor this year that just wasn't there last year. And maybe they could pull it together. I definitely don't. You know what's going to happen, man. If they don't repeat the same success, the pitchforks and the rakes and the shovels and all of that going to come out, man. They're going to start looking to pin the tail on Lamar, bro. And I really hate that it has to come to that, but he has to identify that, and he's gotta do more to will his team to win, because as you know, when they give you the juice and they nominate, they nominate you the next coming, the greatest, for the next 10 years, right up there with Mahomes. This is what he was touted last year. So now the expectations have been laid, and now you got to live up to those expectations or run the risk of the masses condemning you, and you know how that goes in this game. Is what have you done for me lately? Not what did you do for me last year? Saints 49ers, yes, bittersweet victory. We did get our catch back from last year, if you will. Unfortunately, the 49ers are not in the same position they were in last year, so it really doesn't count. And we leveraged or hedged that against Drew Brees at 41 years old, 42 years old now, I'm sorry, going out with a fair amount of injuries. But on the flip side, because we've only got 2 losses, we've got a little breathing room there, and I think that this could be a great thing. And the reason I say this is because with the tandem of both Hill and Winston having to take up the helm and try one Drew Brees, I think that this will be, number one, a chance for our running backs, Latavius Murray and Alvin Kamara, to start showcasing their abilities and talents as they were on display yesterday. Sean Payton will have no choice but to call more running plays just to make it more comfortable for quarterbacks that aren't Drew Brees. I think that Drew Brees was his personal avatar to go run around in his playground known as the Superdome, or wherever they're playing at for that matter. So I think that a lot of the cutesy plays won't be called. And let me just keep it real with you. A lot of the cutesy plays are the reasons we're out of a lot of games. But the cutesy plays are the plays that bring us back in the games as well. But if you trace it back to how we got out of the game in the first place, it was probably due to a cutesy play that can't be called right now. And the Saints have far too much talent. And let's not forget, Jameis Winston was a starting quarterback for Tampa Bay, and he put up good numbers. He just had a lot of interceptions. And I mean, that could be because of the system. That could be because of a multitude of things. What I do know is that our running attack and our receivers are just as good as they had. And our running attack is way better than what Tampa Bay had. So if we lean on that and we lean on those high quality receivers we have, as well as that defense that have been stepping up, pretty much the last 4 or 5 games, I think we'll be all right. And I think that this is a great opportunity for, number one, Winston to get some really good snaps and understand what it'll be when Drew Brees leaves, if we decide to go that route, and he'll be on full display for all to see, as well as for Drew Brees to kind of nurse his body back into shape, back in the health at that age going forward, to try to make a deep playoff run. So I mean, we can definitely turn these lemons into lemonade if we can go 500 or maybe slightly above 500 over the duration of Drew Brees' absence. So that remains to be seen. But we did pull off the win yesterday with only playing half a game of Drew Brees, and we kind of won definitively. It's 2 touchdown win after having to come back, and consequently we came back after Drew Brees went out. So I mean, let's kind of read between the lines there. Maybe this is the blessing in disguise we've all been waiting on. It happened last year, and we were a less talented team last year. So in my opinion, we're a more talented team this year on both sides of the ball. And we had a stiffer level of competition during that 5-game stint than we are now. So I think that this could be a blessing in disguise if we spin it the right way. Bengals, Steelers, no comment. Steelers, great game for them, 10-0. Bengals, I mean, it's not your year. Joey Burrow, get out of there while you still can.
And I agree with you, man. We're gonna go delve into this and cover several articles. We're gonna actually recap the game. We're gonna get into the Drew Brees news on the Sports Coma a little later on after this podcast is ended. All right, Mozzy, let's go into the Monday night matchup between the Minnesota Vikings, who have won 2 in a row. They beat the Green Bay Packers and Detroit Lions over the last 2 weeks, while the Bears are headed in a different direction. The Bears have lost 3 in a row. Rams, Saints, and Titans, they're on the wrong side of this thing. They're 5-4 in the matchup. Minnesota 3-5. Kirk Cousins looked like he's picking up his game. Chicago's still struggling to find a way to score, offensively speaking, averaging 19.8 yards per game, while the Vikings have averaging 27 points a game. Issue is they're giving up 29 of them suckers. So I mean, what do you see going on in this one? The Vikings finally start climbing up in the chain there in the NFC South. They're in a cellar right now. Bears are in second place chasing Green Bay. What happens in this one tonight?
Well, I'll tell you, definitely what I believe is Dalvin Cook is going to have a field day today. And I mean, everything's going to run through him. I mean, you got 2 teams right now that heavily rely on their running back, and the Vikings are one, and obviously Tennessee is going to be the other. As far as Carolina will be the third. At this point, Dalvin Cook's playing better than all those guys, and I think he'll be way too much luck for him to have. 100. If he can get over, if he can stay within that 120 yard range, because they're gonna be relying on him pretty heavily, I think that they'll do due diligence and they'll beat the Bears handily on Monday Night Football. I say somewhere between 7 and 10 points. So I'm thinking 24-14 Minnesota, if Dalvin Cook can stay in that 100 to 120 touch yard range and put up at least a tub. I think that the Vikings will be poised to win this one by about 10 points.
All right, let's move on to the NFL injury and roster news for week number 11 coming in. Jets garbage time coach Adam Gase told reporters Monday that the third-year signal caller Joe Flacco will make his fourth straight start as in place of Sam Darnold, who continues to spend time on the sideline with shoulder problems as well. That's something that was released there by Gang Green. Denver Broncos quarterback Drew Lock had a muscle strain around his ribs. According to NFL, Coach Vic Fangio said Locke is questionable for practice and against the Miami Dolphins. The 49ers placed defensive lineman Eric Armstead on a C-19 list today. Kansas City Chiefs announced contract extensions for Coach Andy Reid and General Manager Brett Veach. That was reported, so I guess everything's all good in Chief country. And the Chiefs put tackles Eric Fisher and Mark Schwartz and Martinez Rankin on the C-19 list. As well, so some good, some bad. The Dolphins signed defensive tackle Zach Seiler to a contract extension through 2023. They also released running back Jordan Howard, who signed a 2-year deal with the team in offseason. The Panthers, get this, signed former Saint rookie Tommy Stevens. That's right, Tommy Touchdown Stevens, the quarterback turned tight end. They signed him to the practice squad and now are listing him as a quarterback. So he left the Saints as a tight end, and he will reappear with the Panthers as a quarterback. Steve was a 7th-round pick by the Saints, spent time on the practice squad as a tight end, with Teddy Bridgewater suffering an MCL sprain in the Week 10 loss to the Buccaneers, and is considered day-to-day as well. Jacksonville Jaguars coach Doug Marrone said that Chris Thompson will be placed on IR and wide receiver LaVista Shenault will return to practice this week, but the team will wait and see if he's ready for game time action. Quarterback Jack Lutton will start Sunday against the Steelers while Gardner Minshew resumes his throwing. And of course, we're going to tell you about Drew right here. He entered week 10 with at least one cracked rib. He suffered multiple broken ribs and a lung issue as a result of the hit he sustained against the 49ers. It's something we being looked at as well. But they're saying they reported injury reserve is not currently being discussed. It should be discussed. He's going to be out for at least 3 weeks. There's no way he comes back unless he's freaking Superman from that. So you at least put him on injury reserve for that time frame. We'll see how it shakes, man. It might be contractual, something dealing with it. We never know with Sean Payton. We'll see. Green Bay Packers coach Matt LaFleur called it pretty promising that the team will be able to activate wide receiver Allen Lazard Wednesday. He's been sidelined since week 3, so they're getting him back. Vikings placed guard Drew Samuel on the reserve 19 list and elevated tight end Brandon Dillon to the active roster. The Ravens announced that they will not be able to attend Sunday's game against the Titans. Baltimore allowed 10% capacity at M&T Stadium for its last home game. Said it announced fans will not be able to attend the matchup as well in that game. Philadelphia announced that they will not be allowed to host fans at Lincoln Financial for the remainder of the season because the city of Philadelphia implemented new outdoor restrictions due to a recent increase in C-19 cases in the region. Philly designated tight end Zach Ertz's ankle for return to injury reserve. Policy reported per wire that Garofalo reported Ertz will have to show the team that he can move and protect his tender ankle in practice in order to get clearance to play in Sunday's game against the Browns. So Zach Ertz trying to make a arrangement there. Some good, some bad. Philly fans, no stands, no fans in the stands for Philly. Washington football team, the Whataburgers, placed Kyle Allen, who suffered a dislocated and fractured ankle in week 9 on the injury reserve. Allen, the backup quarterback, team also signed defensive end Jalen Jelks to the practice squad. Washington rookie offensive lineman Sadiq Charles will undergo season-ending surgery as well. Cleveland Browns placed fullback Andy Jonovich on the C-19 list. Titans have also placed David Long on the C-19 list. Chicago activated offensive lineman Colby Whitehair from the C-19 list and put quarterback Tyler Bray, running back Lamar Miller, and offensive lineman Eric Kush on active roster ahead of Monday night's matchup against the Vikings. The Raiders also bringing in fullback Derek Coleman for a visit, and the Chargers signed running back Derek Gore and wide receiver John Hurst to their practice squad. And that'll complete the NFL Week 10 scoreboard as well as the NFL news and notes for today. Uncle Mozzy is in the building. We appreciate him chiming in and bring his analysis. So once again, I'd like to thank all those for joining us for this episode of TSC Unleashed. Much love to all the family members in the building for joining us. Please hit the like button, share the links as we move forward, and we'll see you tomorrow on another installment of TSC Unleashed Tuesday edition. Big ups to the family members. We'll see you later. Peace.